Hey, stop what you're doing right now, because what I'm about to share with you in the next few minutes could be the single most important thing you do for your health this entire year. I'm not saying that to get your attention. I'm saying it because most women over 60 are making a critical morning mistake that is silently destroying their muscle mass, stealing their independence, and shortening their lives, and nobody is talking about it. In fact, the very habits that millions of senior women follow every single morning are the exact habits that accelerate sarcopenia, which is the medical term for age-related muscle loss. And here is what's truly shocking. Reversing it doesn't require expensive treatments, complicated gym routines, or hours of your time. There is one specific morning habit that takes 30 seconds or less, and when done consistently, it can change everything. Before we get into it, I want to share something that researchers at the University of Southern California published just recently. They found that women over 60 who incorporated targeted morning muscle activation habits lost up to 38% less muscle mass over 5 years compared to women who did not. 38%. That is the difference between walking unassisted into your 80s and relying on a walker by 72. That is the difference between carrying your own groceries and having someone do it for you. And the most powerful item on this list, number 1, is something so deceptively simple that most doctors never even mention it to their patients. It will surprise you. Make sure you stay until the end, because that one habit alone could change the direction of your health completely. Now, before we dive in, I want to ask you something personally. Leave a comment below and tell me how old you are, and tell me one thing in your morning routine you never skip. I read every single comment on this channel, and I genuinely want to know where you are on this journey. Your response might help someone else who is reading the comments today. I'm Dr. Mandell, and I have spent decades working with patients whose lives have been dramatically transformed, not by surgery, not by prescription medications, but by understanding how the aging body works and giving it exactly what it needs at exactly the right time. Today, I'm counting down from 5 to 1. 5 morning habits ranked from very powerful to absolutely life-changing, all of which take 30 seconds or less to begin. Let's start. Coming in at number 5, and this one is deceptively overlooked, is morning sunlight exposure to your skin and eyes within the first 10 minutes of waking. Now I know what you're thinking. Sunlight? That's it? But hear me out, because the science behind this is extraordinary, and it connects directly to your muscle health in ways that most people never hear about. When natural morning light hits your skin and enters your eyes, it triggers a cascade of hormonal events that directly influence your body's ability to maintain and build lean muscle tissue. Think of it like flipping the power switch on your body's internal factory. Without that switch being flipped first thing in the morning, the factory runs at reduced capacity all day long. Researchers at the University of Edinburgh studied over 4,000 women between the ages of 60 and 85 and found that those with consistent morning light exposure had significantly higher levels of vitamin D activation, testosterone precursors, and growth hormone response throughout the day compared to women who stayed indoors until mid-morning. Now, vitamin D isn't just about bones. That is one of the most common misconceptions I encounter. Vitamin D acts more like a hormone than a vitamin in your body, and it directly regulates muscle protein synthesis. That's the process by which your body builds and repairs muscle fiber. After age 65, your skin becomes up to 30% less efficient at converting sunlight into usable vitamin D, which means getting outside early becomes even more critical, not less. Dr. Patricia Monroe, a geriatric endocrinologist at Johns Hopkins, has said that morning light within the first 15 minutes of waking is one of the simplest and most underutilized tools in preventing sarcopenia in older women. And here is the 30-second version. The moment you wake up, before you check your phone, before your coffee, before anything else, simply walk to a window or step outside and let natural light hit your face and forearms for just 30 seconds minimum. Ideally, you want 5 to 10 minutes, but the act of doing it immediately upon waking sets your circadian rhythm, reduces cortisol, and begins activating vitamin D pathways. Pair this habit with a small amount of healthy fat in your breakfast, like avocado or a handful of walnuts, because vitamin D is fat soluble, meaning fat helps your body absorb and use it far more effectively. Synergy matters. I had a patient named Gloria, 71 years old, from Scottsdale, Arizona. She came to me complaining of fatigue, leg weakness, and what she described as feeling like her body was slowly shutting down. Her vitamin D levels were critically low despite living in one of the sunniest cities in America. Why? Because she never went outside in the morning. She drove everywhere with tinted windows and stayed indoors until noon. We made one change. Every morning she stepped onto her patio for 10 minutes right after waking. Within 8 weeks, her energy had returned. Her leg strength improved measurably, and she told me she felt 10 years younger. One habit, one simple change. Number 4 is something I call the morning protein timing window, and this is where most women over 60 are unknowingly losing the fight against sarcopenia every single day without realizing it. Here is the problem. After you sleep, your body has been fasting for 7 to 9 hours. During that fast, your body has been pulling amino acids, the building blocks of muscle, from your existing muscle tissue to fuel essential bodily processes. By the time you wake up, your muscles are in a catabolic state, which simply means they are in breakdown mode, not building mode. And here's what makes this so dangerous after 60, a phenomenon called anabolic resistance. Anabolic resistance means that as we age, our muscles become less responsive to protein. A 30-year-old woman can eat 15 grams of protein and trigger a solid muscle-building response. A 70-year-old woman needs closer to 30 to 40 grams of high-quality protein to achieve the same response. This is not a theory. This is published science from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition and from research teams at Tufts University, one of the leading institutions studying aging and nutrition in the world. Their studies found that women over 65 who consumed at least 30 grams of protein within 45 minutes of waking preserved significantly more lean muscle mass over a 2-year period than women who ate the same total protein spread throughout the day. The morning window is everything. Think of your muscles after sleep like a dry sponge. They are ready to absorb, but only if you give them what they need in time. If you wait until 11 a.m. to eat your first real meal, that sponge has already been used for breakdown and is far less receptive. So here is your action plan and the 30-second version of this habit. Before you go to bed tonight, prepare your morning protein source so it is ready the moment you wake up. Whether it is 2 hard-boiled eggs you cooked the night before, a Greek yogurt already in the fridge, or a protein shake you can mix in under 30 seconds, eliminate every barrier. Get that protein in within 30 to 45 minutes of waking. Pair it with vitamin C from a small glass of orange juice or a handful of berries, because vitamin C has been shown to enhance collagen synthesis and reduce post-meal muscle inflammation. Synergy again. Patricia, 68 years old, from Nashville, Tennessee, came to see me after her physical therapist expressed concern about the rapid pace of her muscle decline. She was eating well by most standards, but consistently skipping breakfast or grabbing a piece of toast and coffee until nearly noon. We simply moved her protein intake to within 30 minutes of waking. Greek yogurt with chia seeds and 2 eggs. Nothing exotic, nothing expensive. Within 60 days, her grip strength, balance, and stair climbing ability had all measurably improved. Her physical therapist was stunned. I told her it wasn't magic. It was timing. Number 3. And this is where things get fascinating, because this habit addresses something happening deep inside your cells that most people have never even heard of. We are talking about mitochondrial activation through cold water exposure to the face and wrists first thing in the morning. Before you dismiss this, let me explain the science, because it is compelling. Mitochondria are the energy-producing organelles inside every one of your muscle cells. Think of them like tiny power plants. As we age, mitochondrial function declines significantly. After age 60, many women are running their muscle cells at roughly 40 to 50% of the mitochondrial capacity they had at 40. That is why fatigue sets in faster, why recovery takes longer, and why sarcopenia accelerates. A study published in the journal Cell Metabolism found that brief cold exposure stimulates a protein called PGC1 alpha. You don't need to remember that name. Just think of it as the master switch for mitochondrial regeneration. When PGC1 alpha is activated, it signals your muscle cells to produce more mitochondria, improve energy output, and reduce inflammatory markers that directly cause muscle degradation. Researchers at the Karolinska Institute in Sweden found that women who incorporated brief cold water facial immersion in the morning showed a 22% improvement in cellular energy markers over 12 weeks compared to the control group. Here is the 30-second practice. Every morning after waking, fill your sink with cold water, not ice cold, just cold from the tap, and submerge your face for 15 to 30 seconds. Then run cold water over your wrists for another 15 seconds. That is it. The risks are important because major blood vessels run close to the skin there, allowing the cold signal to travel quickly through your circulatory system. This practice also reduces morning cortisol spike, which is critical because high cortisol in the morning is one of the primary drivers of muscle protein breakdown in women over 60. Pair this habit with your morning movement or stretching immediately after, because cold exposure primes your nervous system for physical activity in a way that dramatically enhances the benefit of even gentle exercise. Margaret, 74 years old from Portland, Oregon, had been dealing with what she described as total morning paralysis, overwhelming fatigue and stiffness every single morning that took hours to shake off. She was losing muscle fast. We introduced the cold water practice as her very first morning action. Within 3 weeks, she told me she felt alert within minutes of waking for the first time in years. Her mobility improved, her afternoon energy crashes became less severe, and 6 months later, her muscle density scans showed measurable improvement. She called it her secret weapon. Now, if this information is valuable to you and you want to keep receiving this kind of content, please take a moment right now to hit the subscribe button and tap the like button. It takes 2 seconds and it helps me reach more women over 60 who deserve to have this knowledge. It means the world to me and to this community. Now, let's get into the top 2 because this is where the real transformation happens. Number 2 is something that top geriatric researchers are now calling one of the most underestimated anti-sarcopenia interventions in existence, and it takes under 30 seconds to do. It is deep diaphragmatic breathing combined with a specific muscle contraction sequence immediately upon waking before you even get out of bed. Now let me explain why this is so powerful and why the timing while you are still lying in bed is absolutely critical. When you first wake up, your nervous system is transitioning from a parasympathetic state, rest and repair, to a sympathetic state, activity and stress. During this transition, cortisol rises sharply. This is called the cortisol awakening response, and in women over 60, this spike tends to be more pronounced and more damaging to muscle tissue than in younger women. Research from the University of California, San Francisco found that women over 65 who experienced chronically elevated cortisol awakening responses had up to 41% more muscle loss over 3 years compared to women with a modulated cortisol response. But here is the extraordinary finding. Just 2 to 3 minutes of slow diaphragmatic breathing, breathing deeply into the belly rather than shallowly into the chest, performed immediately upon waking, was shown to reduce the cortisol awakening response by up to 27%. Sandra Kim, a neuromuscular researcher at UCSF, described this as one of the most cost-effective muscle protective interventions she had ever studied. Here is how you do it in under 30 seconds to start. The moment your eyes open, before you sit up, place both hands on your belly. Breathe in slowly through your nose for 4 counts. Feel your belly rise. Hold for 2 counts. Then breathe out through your mouth for 6 counts. Do this just 3 times. While you exhale on the 3rd breath, simultaneously tighten your thigh muscles, squeeze your glutes, and press your heels gently into the mattress. Hold that contraction for 5 seconds. This muscle engagement while breathing signals your motor neurons, the nerve pathways that control muscle activation, to fire up before your feet even touch the floor. Think of it like warming up an engine before driving. You would never floor a cold engine. Why would you do that to your muscles? I want to tell you about Eleanor. She was 78 years old, living alone in Denver, Colorado, and she had fallen twice in 6 months. Not because she was frail in general, but because her legs simply would not respond quickly enough when she needed them. She had what doctors call neuromuscular lag, a disconnect between the brain's signal and the muscle's response that worsens with age. We introduced this breathing and contraction habit as her very first action each morning. Within 4 weeks, her reaction time on balance testing had improved by 19%. Within 3 months, she had not fallen once. Her daughter called me in tears. Eleanor told me, "I feel like my body is finally listening to me again." And now, number 1, the single most powerful 30-second morning habit for fighting sarcopenia that almost no one is talking about. And when I share this with patients, most of them say the same thing. I had no idea something this simple could do that. The habit is leucine activation through a single targeted amino acid dose taken within 5 minutes of waking, before water, before light, before anything else. Leucine is an essential amino acid, and I call it the master switch of muscle protein synthesis. Here is why it stands alone at number 1. Every other form of nutrition, every exercise, every Intervention for building muscle ultimately requires leucine to be present in sufficient concentration in order to trigger the mTOR pathway, that is the biological mechanism your body uses to initiate actual muscle building at the cellular level. Without enough leucine, even if you do everything else right, your muscles receive a significantly reduced building signal. After age 70, research from the University of Texas Medical Branch has shown that the leucine threshold required to trigger meaningful muscle protein synthesis increases by approximately 50%, meaning older women need considerably more leucine per meal than younger women just to achieve the same muscle response. And here's the problem. Most women are not getting anywhere close to enough leucine, especially first thing in the morning. But what is truly revolutionary is recent research showing that taking a targeted dose of free-form leucine, meaning leucine in its isolated supplement form on an empty stomach, first thing in the morning, creates a concentrated spike in blood leucine levels that effectively overcomes anabolic resistance and activates muscle-building pathways even before you have eaten a full meal. A clinical trial published in the Journal of Gerontology found that women over 65 who took 3 grams of free-form leucine upon waking showed 46% greater muscle protein synthesis rates over a 12-week period compared to women who did not. Dr. Helena Vasquez, a professor of nutritional biochemistry at UT Medical Branch, described leucine as the most underutilized tool in geriatric muscle preservation. She said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that no other single intervention she had studied in 20 years of research produced comparable results for the amount of effort required. Here is exactly what to do. Keep a small container of free-form leucine powder or leucine capsules on your nightstand. The moment you wake up, before you do anything else, take 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine with a small sip of water. It takes literally 10 to 15 seconds. Within 30 to 45 minutes, eat your high-protein breakfast to build on the muscle activation signal that leucine has already sent. This is the synergy that transforms the habit from powerful to extraordinary. Leucine starts to signal, protein sustains it. Together, they create a muscle-building environment that fights sarcopenia at its biological root. I want to tell you about a patient named Dorothy. She was 82 years old, living in Boca Raton, Florida, and she was terrified. Her doctors had told her that her muscle loss was progressing rapidly and that if she did not reverse the trend, she would likely need full-time care within 2 years. She was already using a cane. Dorothy was not able to do vigorous exercise. She had joint limitations and chronic fatigue, but she could take a supplement upon waking. She started leucine at 3 grams every morning upon waking, followed within 40 minutes by a protein-rich breakfast of eggs and Greek yogurt. Within 6 weeks, Dorothy told me her legs felt stronger than they had in years. Within 4 months, she had put her cane away. Not permanently, she kept it nearby, but she was no longer dependent on it for her daily movement around the home. Her daughter sent me a video of Dorothy walking unassisted through her garden. And I want to tell you, in 30 years of practice, moments like that never get old. I need you to understand something important as we close today. Sarcopenia is not inevitable. It is not simply a fact of aging that must be accepted. It is a condition with known causes, known mechanisms, and known solutions. Every single habit I shared with you today is grounded in peer-reviewed research, and all scientific references are linked in the description below. Your body at 65, at 70, at 80 is still capable of responding, rebuilding, and regaining strength. The women who walk with confidence into their 80s and 90s are not genetically lucky. They are not exceptions. They are women who made consistent, informed choices about how they treated their bodies in the morning in those first precious minutes when the stage is set for the entire day. It is never too late. I have seen 82-year-old women reclaim strength they thought was gone forever. I have seen women reduce their fall risk dramatically in a matter of weeks through simple, targeted habits. Your independence is worth fighting for. Your quality of life, being able to walk to your own mailbox, hug your grandchildren without fear of losing your balance, travel and move and live freely, that is worth 30 seconds in the morning. Every morning. If this video helped you in any way, please subscribe to this channel right now and hit that like button. Share this with a woman in your life who deserves to have this information, and I want to hear from you in the comments below. Which of these 5 habits are you going to try first thing tomorrow morning, and how old are you? Tell me. I read every single comment, and your story may be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourselves because you absolutely deserve it.